Hi, I'm Tanner with Well Played, and today I'm going to be teaching you Carcassonne. Carcassonne is a tile placing game for 2 to 5 players. To begin the game, you'll need to separate the tiles based on the colors of their 2 backs. These darker gray ones are the ones you'll use for beginning the game. One of them will show a portion of a city and a length of road. The rest will have various waterways and rivers on them. For setup, you'll choose to use either this tile for setup or the stack of river tiles. For this example, we'll set the river tiles to the side. Then distribute to each player a set of 7 meeples of their color, and then have them place their 8th meeple on their scoring track at the 0 space. Then randomly determine one person to be the start player, and you're ready to begin. On a player's turn, a player must draw 1 tile from the stack of tiles, add it to the board anywhere so long as it can legally be placed. They may then choose to optionally add one of their meeples to the tile that they had placed, and if any of those meeples would score points, they'll remove them from the board and represent that they score points by moving their meeple on the track. In this example, this was the tile that was drawn by the first player. There are a certain number of places that this can be played legally on the board as it stands. The city can connect to the city, the road can connect to the road, but this empty field cannot be adjacent to anything other than another empty field. So this would be an illegal play, as well as this would be an illegal play. Tiles can also not be placed at a diagonal where they are not connecting on a side. Once a player has placed their tile, they then have to make the decision of whether they want to add a meeple to that tile. If a meeple is added to a road, it is committed to be a robber. If a meeple is added to a city, it is committed to be a knight. And if a meeple is added to this standalone building, which is known as a monastery, the meeple is called a monk. The meeples that are placed by the active player will remain on the board until they score points. Points are scored when features are completed. A city is completed when all of its sides are closed. In this example, this city would become completed. The yellow player would place their meeple and instantly remove it, scoring their city. Roads are completed when they end at various cities or at these way stations, much like you see here. And monasteries are completed when they're surrounded on all sides, including on their diagonals. When a city is completed, the player or players that have meeples in that city will remove them and score 2 points for each tile that is a part of that city. In this example, this city is only 2 tiles large, so the yellow player will receive 4 points. When roads are completed, the player or players that are on the roads will receive 1 point per tile that adds up to the road. And when a monastery is complete, meaning that it is surrounded on all sides, including its diagonals, it will score exactly 9 points. I'll now fast forward the building of the board so we can see a couple more advanced examples of scoring. It is now the blue player's turn. They draw a tile, and it shows a monastery with no roads, cities, or other features on it. They then have to decide where to place it. They decide between here, here, and here that here is the best option for them. They then add one of their own meeples. Blue and yellow now have a vested interest in working together to surround their monasteries so that way they can both score the maximum amount of points. On the yellow player's turn, they draw this tile, which shows a 3-sided section of a city with a road leading to it. They decide to add it to this road they've been working on to complete the feature. They will then score this meeple with 1 point per tile that makes up the road. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The yellow player will then remove their meeple and score 7 points on the victory point track. They then now have the option of adding a meeple to this city. I had mentioned earlier that players can share points by scoring features together if both of their meeples are present. It's now the red player's turn, and this is the tile that they draw. They think for a moment about adding it to the yellow player's city in an attempt to share those points with them, but this in fact is an illegal play. Players are not allowed to add meeples to features that are already claimed by another player. Instead, they will have to start separately and then build into each other's feature in order to share the points. So instead of making this a legal play, red decides to place their tile here. This now adjoins the 2 portions of the cities that both the red player and the blue player were working on. They are now working together to complete the city in order to share the full amount of points that it would score. Because red already has a meeple in this location, they do not add one to this tile. If on a previous turn before this had been played, the red player had drawn this tile, They could choose to add it to this space and connect 2 independent cities that the red player had been working on. They now have 2 knights lording over it. But because they now have 2 knights in this city compared to the blue player's 1 knight, the red player will score all of the points should the city be completed. The game will be over when the stack of tiles runs out. All players with meeples still remaining on the board will score partial points for their projects. Each road will still score 1 point per tile that comprises it, but every city will now only score 1 point per tile that makes it up. Every monastery will also score 1 point for each tile surrounding it, plus 1 point for itself. The player with the most points at the end of final scoring will be the winner. We hope you enjoyed this tutorial of Carcassonne, and we hope that you found it helpful. Please like and subscribe, and we hope to see you soon.